Every fall, we at Josiah Venture host a conference attended by over 500 young leaders from around Central and Eastern Europe. This year, due to the pandemic and other restrictions, we were unable to have that conference. And out of that, we pivoted to create the Youth Ministry Recharge, a one-day online event that would focus on youth leaders and their teams in their specific local ministries. What you're about to watch is an excerpt from the Youth Ministry Recharge. Because it was of such benefit to our young leaders, we want it to be of benefit to you as well. The talk you're about to watch is called Show the Way, with our guest speaker, Dave Patty.
We have one more charge for you today in our Youth Ministry Recharge, and here it is. Show the way. Show the way. We often underestimate how much impact we ourselves can make in our environment, in our church, and in our youth ministry. And there are three ways that you can show the way. First of all, by your example. By your example. Think about the things that you want to change in your youth group. Maybe you want your youth group to be more open towards outsiders or have a better attitude when things go wrong. Maybe you want your youth group to be more faith-filled or be more interested in what's going on in the lives of others. The fastest way to change people around you and your environment is actually by changing yourself. It's hard to change your environment. It's difficult to change people around you. But in just a moment, with a choice, you can make a change in yourself, and that example will spread to others around you. I remember when I was in high school as a youth group talking a lot about sharing the gospel with our friends, and we talked about it, we thought about it, and we learned about it. And then one of the youth group members, his name was Rolf, started actually doing it. And he would come back to youth group with stories of how he shared Christ with his friends. I went to the same school that he did, and I saw him doing it. I saw him in action. And more than any principles, more than any teaching, seeing Rolf living out what we were teaching brought the biggest change in me. He showed the way through his example, and then I knew where to go too.
An example for ministry in my life were and are my parents, because they taught me since I was a little boy that ministry is not a job, it's a lifestyle, and you serve whenever God calls you.
I think I took a lot of my growth from people that discipled me and helped me to see how they live their life with Jesus. And it's not what they said it needs to be done, but more of just seeing them live with Christ and me learning and seeing that and seeing the difference that it makes in their lives that really impact me in the end.
When I think of someone who I respect and I want to learn from it, it's another community or another church in Slovenia where they've invested a lot of time into thinking and planning and praying for their youth ministry, and it's been really fruitful. So I went to them and asked them a lot of questions. They showed me what they've been learning and how they've been planning and organizing youth ministry. And then I came to my church and took what they have, think about it, discuss with my leaders, and see what are the things that we can implement from their ministry into our church.
And what really helped me to think of leadership was that someone allowed me to fail. And there was a huge help for me to see that, hey, I can do mistakes, it's not the end of the world, but I should learn from those mistakes. And another thing was that the guy who modeled me, he said, it's not about position in leadership. You don't need to have a position to lead, but you need to have influence. So it's all about influence. If you lead with influence, you don't need to be on top of your organization or on top of your church or on top of your youth ministry, but you can make a difference by the influence you can have. So those two combined together helped me a lot to say, hey, I can lead. I can do what I'm supposed to do.
So show the way through your example. That's the first way. The second is through your vision, through your ability to see the future and then put that future into words. Most people don't see very far ahead. They maybe see the next youth group meeting or the next day of school, the next task that's ahead of them. But actually activity only has meaning in the context of destination. It's like if we got in a car and said we're just going to drive and we didn't know where we were going, it would be difficult to keep up the energy of that trip. But the destination, the place where we're going, gives context and meaning to the individual activities that we're involved in. Like I said, most people can't see that future and they need someone to speak it to them. So as you think about the fall, if you have vision for your youth group, if you say, this is what we want to see God do during this time, this is where we want to go during these next 3 months. These are the changes that we're believing God for, that can lift people's eyes from tomorrow to a month and 2 months from now. And that vision can focus their direction and show the way. Sometimes we underestimate the power of our words. I just think you're made in the image of God, and when God spoke, the universe came into being. Words actually can bring reality as we talk about what we were believing God for and talk about what's ahead. It points people in that direction, and it actually can bring that reality to be as we are asking God for it and pointing the way. So show the way with vision, a vision that's more than just survival, a vision that's faith-filled, a vision that's asking God for things this fall.
If we don't have a vision in our life, we can get lost very easily. And to remind myself what is my vision, I always remember that I was called to make disciples, that whatever I do, with any kind of project I get involved, I need to remember that my calling is to make disciples who will be making disciples.
We discussed together what we want to see in our church. So we created the vision together and then met with all the youth and talked about the vision with all the youth and explained it and gave them space so that they can ask questions so that vision becomes theirs as well.
One thing we're doing right now in our youth ministry is we share the vision with our young people that are part of the team. Every single meeting we do with them each week. So it's not about just remembering it, but it's about catching the vision, it's understanding the vision.
Don't underestimate how the kingdom of God is like yeast and how it infiltrates, how what you do, sowing in faith and in love, how that impacts the people that you're working with, how that's going to impact their families, how it's going to impact their schools, how it could transform towns, cities. My goodness, because the gospel is powerful and Jesus is amazing.
And then the third way you can show the way is through a plan, actually making a plan. You know, it's difficult if you have big general goals, even big vision, and they aren't broken up into small steps that I can take advantage of. If you just told me, hey, I want you to invest in people more in our youth group, I might have a difficult time responding. But if you came to me with one name and asked me to call them, for instance, tomorrow, I probably would be able to say yes and do that. If you asked me, hey, just help out with the youth meetings, I might have a difficult time responding. But if you said, we need you to bring refreshments next Friday night, it's much easier for me to say yes. And good visions are accomplished when people take that big vision, break it up into smaller steps, and actually make a plan. Make a plan that involves who, what, when, where, and then, of course, why we're doing those things. Leaders who turn big visions into really plans with steps and people are ones that show the way. And what you'll find is that others then will engage and follow and make a difference.
A vision without a plan is useless. That's why we're making a plan, a practical plan, to see the vision come alive as we're dreaming about that vision. So we're saying that we want a Christian person in every school in the city to use that as a contact point and as a channel for us to influence that school and other young people there to share the gospel as we're dreaming about this vision to reach Albania through schools and young people.
Every time we are talking about vision, my question is always, what's our next step? Even if I don't have the 10th step, what is our first step? So I like to always finish a meeting with what's our next step.
We always do this ministry map to see where all the kids are and who's taking care of them and who's gonna take care of other kids, which is always precise about all the small things and details we can think about, but we also leave a space for God to work in the strategies, not that we do as we think will be best, but we try our best and leave space for God to work and do miracles in what we planned.
Showing the way can turn the tide in a youth ministry. It can change a whole city as you show the way and then others follow you. It can make a big difference in your church. And so I wonder if you have clarity about how you can show the way. And we'd like you now to spend some time thinking, either individually or with others, about what's your vision for the fall? What is the example that you need to set to make a difference in your youth ministry? And what is the clarity of plan that you need to bring to your setting so that you can make a difference by showing the way? So spend some time thinking and talking about that right now.
Thanks for watching. We really hope this video was encouraging to you and of benefit to your own youth ministry. Be sure to subscribe for more videos and more content to come.